Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. It is I on this Oscar day, the notorious RMB. And you out there, you members of this, the Post Geek Singularity community, thank you for being here on this Oscar day. I appreciate it. My fellow imagination connoisseurs, man, it's good to talk to you all. Oh, there's Gilbert chiming in because he too, although he's a canine, he is also an imagination connoisseur. So, I wasn't going to go online today, but a couple of things happened over the last 24 hours that I thought worth sharing. The first of these was last night. I went to a family event, a great event, a great man's 90th birthday party. And after the festivities and after some very moving words were said, the conversation rolled around to what we were all doing. And people always seem to be fascinated about what I'm doing or whatever. And these are very people very far removed away from Hollywood or the entertainment business. As a matter of fact, one of them in particular was a doctor. And he was a doctor who had survived a very deadly bout of cancer. He was almost destroyed by it. But very jovial, very nice man. And he was fascinated by the whole idea of talking on YouTube to people. And also the fact that it gets monetized and all of that. And he basically was also interested in the entertainment business as a whole and how volatile it is. Hang on a second, I'm gonna make a little light adjustment. Perhaps that might be better. He was as a doctor, as somebody who went to medical school for a very long time, and he has stable work, and he knows other people in the independent or in the indie division of filmmaking, where we don't. I've talked a lot about how we're sort of like these gypsies, and how we don't have stability. Like, say, my dad was an insurance broker. He was the vice president of an insurance company for 35 years in Seattle, and he knew what he did. He knew what he was doing every day. He knew where his paycheck was coming from all the time, which is very different than the lives that many of us lead. And it was very interesting. He was very curious about this, talking to people on YouTube, like, why would you do it? What is the benefit of doing this? Why do it? And really, when it comes down to it, it's because I like to. And basically, I was talking on YouTube on Collider Heroes for 3.5 years. Now I've been working on the John Campea show for over 6 months. And John Schnepp had suggested starting my own YouTube channel. So, doing that. But I really enjoy these chats. And I like the fact that there's people here interacting from literally all over the world. I've heard from people from Indonesia, from Gibraltar, from New Zealand, from the UK, from Italy, Vestas from Bosnia, from Germany, from literally all of India, from all over the world. I mean, I'm really getting an audience that is worldwide, and I get to sort of share my enthusiasm. And what's terrific about these chats is really being able to just geek out with you guys and talk about things that I like to talk about and things I might not normally get to talk about. Now, there is a contingent of people that think I'm a fucking blowhard. Like, why should anybody listen to what you're saying? I mean, what are you doing? You're a middle-aged man talking on YouTube to a bunch of other fellow imagination connoisseurs. But why do it at all? And there are people like Chris Gore. I heard from Chris Gore. He's always been very complimentary of these things. Chris Gore even said, man, perhaps you could tone it down. You only have to do 3 a week, right? Thing is, if I don't do every day, people ask, where are you guys? Where's Gilbert? But so it's interesting. I know that there are some people that know me that are like, can you fucking believe this guy? I get it. I totally understand. But and really, it takes some kind of ego to get online and think that I have anything worth saying to anybody about anything at all. And I understand that. I get that. And if this stops being fun or it stops being beneficial to me in some way, I won't do it anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. But I'm going to tell you, I received an email this morning. It was sent 3 hours ago at 10:36 a.m. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if that timestamp is Pacific time or a different time. But I'd like to read this email. And I hope it provides a little bit of insight into why I do this show. Why am I doing ROBServations? And it comes from viewer Jim Boyers. And Jim, I hope it's okay that I read this aloud to the viewers. I would assume since you sent it to me that it was worth getting now, or worth sharing, that you think it's okay. So please, if not, I apologize in advance, and you can send me another email. Gilbert seems to think it's okay. Here is what Jim Boyers sent me earlier this morning. I realize you are an extremely busy man and probably won't have time to read all of this, so I'll state the important things first. Your show on Friday, which was about action figures, your show on Friday was one of the best pieces of nostalgia I have ever heard. You are only a month and a half older than I am, so our childhood experiences, even though I grew up in Kentucky and you in Washington, are amazingly similar. I have always tried to tell my now adult children what it was like to wait with unbelievable anticipation for the Sears, JCPenney, and Johnny Toys, a large local toy store at the time, catalogs to arrive. Gilbert, please don't interrupt me. To arrive, and the subsequent endless hours sitting and pining over the toy sections. Yes, sir, Jim. Of course, they never got it and will never realize how special things like that were. And it makes me truly sad. When you started talking about it, I actually started to get tears in my eyes. And the walk down memory lane about G.I. Joe figures with the real hair, Big Jim, and Star Wars toys brought back the best mental image of what it was like to be a child in the 70s. I cannot thank you enough for that. I am a retired police officer. So from the time I was 21 into my 40s, I had to suppress my inner geek nerd. I didn't really have anyone to share my love for all things science fiction, horror, and comic book with, unless I wanted to get looked at with a smirk. However, those loves never left me. I was so happy this past summer when I discovered John Campea and by association, you. I have binged past shows and watched the new stuff every day. You guys have truly been a blessing. Watching you has filled a ton of hours with joy and a feeling of belonging. I'm incredibly happy that the things I loved most as a kid are actually coming to life in front of my eyes. They are actually getting ready to make a movie about my favorite comic book series, The Eternals, by my favorite artist, Jack King Kirby. As you always say, these truly are wondrous times. I have never written to a celebrity before. Thanks for saying that. I have never written to a celebrity before. I just couldn't resist after that show. I have so much more I'd love to say, but I will end it here with one last thought. You always talk about being at the end of your time on Earth. Once I hit 50, I too started to really think about that and feel sad that I have less years ahead of me than I have behind me, and thought about what will happen to all my stuff. So it is very poignant when you talk about getting rid of yours. I'm one of those people that always wants to see how things end, no matter what. If a movie or a book is bad, I still have to fast forward or flip to the last chapter to see what happens. That is the true course for me of having to leave. I won't get to see what happens in the lives of all my kids and grandkids and how it all ends. However, my wife always tells me that these are going to be the best years of our lives. I'm not really sure I will ever believe that, but I sure do hope it's true. Take care and keep up the great work. Jim Boyers. If ever I needed a reason about doing these chats and continuing to do these chats, Mr. Boyer's poignant letter is exactly why I'm doing it. You know, we have this communications technology that crisscrosses the earth that allows us free of charge to be able to have these kinds of chats. And I appreciate those of you who support me by sending in super chats and support me on Patreon, or even tweet at me on Twitter or follow me on Facebook. That what I'm most interested in doing is building a community and fostering an environment where people can share the things they love. I've been going to science fiction conventions since I was a little kid, and I met people there. I met older people, you know, that inspired me, that made me realize I could achieve my dreams. And when I hear from a former police officer who has been a geek all of his life and had to suppress his geekdom, I can only imagine. I mean, you know, when you have to pull somebody over and wonder what's in their car, or you have to help a person in need, or the last thing you're thinking about is, you know, who's going to get redusted or reconstituted in Avengers Endgame. Although, truth be told, I'll bet Jim was probably thinking about those kinds of things even during traffic stops. But having this kind of a letter sent to me by somebody and realizing that I've touched somebody in that way is exactly the reason I'm doing these chats. If there's one thing, look, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow, which would be unfortunate because I wouldn't get to see Quentin Tarantino's new movie. I wouldn't get to see Avengers Endgame, nor would I get to see Episode 9, which would make me very unhappy. But at least I would have had these chats. They will, in a weird way, they will survive me. They'll probably be here for as long as YouTube exists, and that's sort of a strange thing. I mean, in a way, you're kind of leaving your manifesto of life, if you really think about it. But when I get a letter like this, it really means a great deal. I mean, it's the same when somebody writes you in, like I get letters occasionally from people that write me about free enterprise, or somebody who recently bought the Star Trek The Next Generation Blu-ray set. There's work that I've done out there that floats around and people discover it over the years. And after all, I mean, in some small way, if you can contribute to the tapestry of the wonder of humanity, I mean, that's worth doing. And so, Jim, Mr. Boyers, Officer Boyers, this letter means a great deal to me. And I'm certainly not a celebrity, certainly not in the sense of, say, anyone who's going to the Oscars tonight. I'd like to be, but even if I was the biggest celebrity in the world, getting a letter like this would not, the meaning of such a letter would not change. And the fact that you even took the time to write this to me means the world. I mean, I can't tell you how fantastic it is to hear from you. And I mean, and also to know that there's someone out there that still understands what it was like to get the Sears Wish book and to get that JCPenney's catalog. Because what's interesting is, with all of this communications technology and all of the wonder that we have surrounding us all the time, which is fantastic. And if I was a kid, the technology that you have at your fingertips is amazing, but there is something missing. That joy of anticipation. There's no such thing anymore as anticipation, because we get everything all the time at our fingertips. I mean, you don't even have to shop for anything anymore. You just go punch into Google what you're looking for, and a million things will show up, and you can just hit a button and it shows up. I mean, there was something special when you were a kid fantasizing about, like I said before, a G.I. Joe hang glider or a Micronauts battle station or something. And that was childhood dreams were what childhood was about. Now, I read Michael Chabon's book on fatherhood. Now, I myself don't have kids. My girlfriend has kids, but I've never raised children. But this idea I keep seeing, and I hear from people that do have kids about this idea that a kid can't even walk home from a friend's house back home without having potentially being stopped by somebody or some busybody coming in and accusing a parent of not being a good parent because their free range kid is out enjoying the world. I mean, that those days when I would leave the house at 9 a.m. and my mom's like, "Come home for dinner." There were no pagers or beepers or cell phones or anything. We had these secret lives. And as kids, if you had four dudes together and you had your bikes and you had to decide what to do, you had to sort of negotiate and parlay and learn how to learn interpersonal relationships with your friends so you could make decisions. Otherwise, you're just staring at each other on your BMX bikes, wondering what you're going to go do. And there was something magical about childhood. I guess you could say it's magical now. You can carry your best friend with you all the time. You can have Facebook on there. You're never away from your friends, but And I think there's an element of that to these chats. I mean, I noticed that a lot of you keep coming back. I mean, I feel like I'm developing these online friendships with people that I have yet to meet. But one day, someone was even suggesting having a meetup and we can all go see Captain Marvel. I'd be like, hey, all of you members of the post-geek singularity community, if you live in the greater Southern California area, why don't we go see Captain Marvel and then go get a meal afterwards? I mean, we could go to the ArcLight and see Captain Marvel in the Dome and go to Stella Bar Pizza right around the corner, or go get some sushi or something. I mean, I think that's kind of a fun thing to do. I mean, it looks like I'm going to be appearing. I was invited by my old neighbor to appear at a convention, a guy I grew up with, at a convention in Wenatchee, Washington on April 13th, which it looks like I'll be attending. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing there, but if you live in Washington State or you live close to Wenatchee or somewhere, it looks like I'll be appearing at a convention in Wenatchee. And I love going to local conventions. I was at a convention in Fort Collins, and it was one of the most fun. I went with Richard Hatch before he passed away, and Gigi Edgley from Farscape. The three of us were the guests of honor, and it's fantastic going to local conventions because everyone's got a smile on their face. Everybody's having a good time. Families are there together. There's no cynicism. There's no snark. There's nobody who's disappointed in The Last Jedi or Star Trek Discovery. By the way, as an aside, did everyone watch the Orville this week? Identity Part 1? Wow. That's all I can say. What? Yeah, I know. All you naysayers can go, oh, well, it's an amalgamation of everything from the Daleks and the Cybermen to the Borg. I don't care. To the Cylons. It was, what I liked about it was Cyberdyne systems. I love the fact that it delved into the dark side of what could happen with the coming singularity. And boy, did it go there. And wow, was it so much more fun than this week's episode of Star Trek Discovery. But anyway, I just want to keep this chat positive, and I really appreciate what Jim Boyer said, and his letter was very heartfelt, and I wanted to thank you, and thanks for being a good dad. And look, what Jim had to say to me, which I actually liked, he said, once I hit 50, I too started to really think about that and feel sad that I have less years ahead of me than I have behind. And I've thought about what will happen to all my stuff. So it is very poignant when you talk about getting rid of yours. Here's the thing. I love life. And I only think about it in terms of a pragmatist, but I am in no hurry to get in the grave, and nor am I in any hurry to get rid of all my stuff. I just want to be clear. Life is freaking grand. And the fact that we're living here in the post-geek singularity, there's so many good things to look forward to. There's so much awesome stuff happening on a daily basis for geeks like us. I can't even begin to tell you. It's funny. Just as an example, so David Miller, who I talk about, who runs Serious Rocketry, and I talked about it on a previous chat that I needed certain parts because I screwed up the engine mount of my Saturn V rocket that I was building, his 5-foot kit, and he sent me the parts I needed because he's got great customer service. But inside the box that these parts came in, he sent me a Star Trek USS Reliant missile rocket, and then he sent me a Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century flying model rocket, like just for fun, and it was so great. I opened this box of plywood and metal parts that I needed, and it was great. And he didn't charge me for them. He just sent them as a funny little thing. And that's what this is kind of all about. And it was great to get Jim's letter. And I will have a smile on my face and be talking about geeky stuff until my very last breath on this planet, because it's a lot of fun. And it's great to have all of you here with me, and great to have this community with you, the post-geek singularity community, all of you imagination connoisseurs. And I think that's great. And that's what I wanted to say. I mean, getting an email like that from Jim, from Officer Boyers, really means a lot. And it means a lot that I keep hearing from you guys. And I haven't been as loquacious on the comments of these chats because I've been busy. This coming week, I'm going to start catching up, and I'll be answering people's questions. And I'm going to do like an all viewer questions or suggestions chat. I'm going to start doing those, and I'll do another rip with Rob. But I just want to say that on this Sunday afternoon, sort of a thanks to everybody. But I'll just jump into these questions. So Abdul is here. Abdul, hey Rob, my amazing girlfriend got me the Emperor Deluxe throne. That I believe, Abdul, you're not just talking about the deluxe throne. You're talking about the Hot Toys Star Wars Emperor Palpatine deluxe version that also comes with his throne. Now, as all of you know, I love action figures with chairs. So good on your girlfriend, Abdul. That's pretty dope. Now he has another dilemma. If you had a choice between the Kenobi mythos figure or the tactical Batman from JL. Okay, these are the questions I love. So the Kenobi mythos figure, which by the way is a phenomenal figure, is a non-canon Star Wars 12-inch figure that Sideshow made of what a younger Obi-Wan between the end of Revenge of the Sith and the beginning of A New Hope would look like. And it is a freaking great figure. It's a terrific figure. If you like Star Wars, I can't recommend it highly enough. Even though it's non-canon, it is an awesome figure. Everything about it is awesome. The likeness is awesome. It's great. If you had a choice between the Kenobi mythos figure or the tactical Batman from Justice League, this is the Hot Toys version of Ben Affleck as Batman from Justice League in his tactical suit, which is a great figure. Which would you choose? Now, this is very important. This is where the men from the boys and the girls from the women are separated. It really comes down to, you've got two great figures. It really comes down to which is your favorite franchise, and do you, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I like having displays of multiple figures. So like if you're looking to create a Justice League display and say you've got Wonder Woman, you've got Aquaman on pre-order, and you got the Man of Steel already, you might want to go with the Batman. But if you're a Star Wars fan, the Mythos Kenobi is awesome. But the thing about the Mythos Kenobi is you can't really set up any scenes with him because he's not it's not canon. However, there are other Mythos figures. Like, for instance, I have an early Hot Toys figure, a collaboration with Sideshow, where it's Kenobi in Stormtrooper armor from the Clone Wars, and he's got a cape. And it's dope. That figure is dope. I love that figure. And I got that anyway. I got that. So then you could do like a display, a Kenobi evolution, display of all your Kenobi figures showing where he went from one, because that's what I would do, is do a Kenobi display where you have all the different Kenobi figures in his different incarnations. And, they're putting out Kenobi from Revenge of the Sith. These are the things I think about. This is how crazy I am. So it really depends. I mean, which franchise do you like better, and what are you going to do with it once you get the figure? Because it's tough. You have to kind of make those decisions, and these are decisions that you never know what's going to happen. Really, these are tough calls. Brandon Valenzuela says, "Tone it down. You and Schnepp made my day every day." Well, that's good to hear. When we were doing Heroes Daily, I mean, that was awesome, and I really like. Look at this. A friend of mine, a guy I know, I met through Heroes. I'm wearing a shirt. You can kind of see it here. He did this incredible artwork of me, if you can kind of see it, as Moon Knight. I mean, this is my face as Moon Knight. He did this whole painting. It's amazing. And I'm wearing this shirt. It's incredible what this fan community and what the community really that I started with on Heroes has grown into. I mean, it's a little fractured now, but it's kind of all over the place, but it's still pretty cool. Mark C says, "I once showed my then future girlfriend what she was in for by watching Free Enterprise with me." Uh-oh. Did you practice my ladies first philosophy? I hope so. She decided to stay around. It was a relatively realistic portrait of a nerd. Well, thank you for that. I do appreciate that. Hopefully it'll be out on Blu-ray. For those who haven't seen it, hopefully I'll get Free Enterprise out on Blu-ray in a new definitive cut, which will be great to have. So I'm glad. I mean, it's weird. I've had to show future girlfriends, like, I'm not going to have any more future girlfriends, but like my girlfriend now, Elizabeth, I was a little nervous, when she was going to watch Free Enterprise. It's like, uh-oh, because then you have to, do you really believe these things? I mean, is this really you? Well, yeah. But then, not all of it. Brandon Valenzuela says, "Captain Marvel meetup." Oh, it's on, bro. I think we might have to do this. I think we might have to do the first Post Geek Singularity community meetup at the ArcLight, maybe the second week of March. So, everybody can see the movie first, and then we'll do a meetup sometime around March 15th, because that would be kind of fun if people are in the Southern California area. I mean, if you've got ideas, again, you can email me or tell me what we should do, or whether that would be something people want to do. or whatever. Mark C says, please be sure to rub in how good the Orville is to Campia. Now, you know what? To be honest, I wasn't feeling this season of the Orville as much as I wanted to be. I love all the characters. I like what's going on, but everything seemed to be, it was all sort of personal problem stories with not, I mean, there were still good personal problem stories with a sci-fi bent, but this story just catapulted the show into a whole new level. I mean, the level of danger, the level of malevolence, it was pretty incredible. And what I liked about it was it dealt with many of the same concepts we've seen in Terminator and Doctor Who and Battlestar Galactica and to a certain extent Blade Runner, but it took it to a very, very terrifying end. But it was a really interesting, it at its core, its crux, it has a really interesting sci-fi story that makes a lot of sense, as opposed to all of the threads in the latest episode of Discovery. I love how one of the pundits on YouTube calls this sphere Space Google. Now they've got this Deus Ex Machina in this sphere creature. I mean, how does a sphere like catalog all this information? How did it get all this information? Like, was this thing tied into the rest of the universe? I mean, even that idea doesn't make any sense. But okay, they're now gonna do all kinds of yeah, I don't know. But the Orville, that was a fantastic. I loved it, and I can't wait to see what happens. I have how should we call this? I have my suspicions. I don't want to share them with you, but I have some suspicions. But anyway, so anyway, let's see what we got here. Yeah, the Orville was good. I don't know if I can convince Campia. I don't know if I can convince Campia of anything. DC Bad Oso Ya asks, do you think we will ever see Michael Korvac in the MCU? Michael Korvac, the enemy. Yeah, he hang on, let me consult this and get it right. Yeah, Michael Korvac is the enemy. I don't know. That's a good question. Michael Korvac has been around in many different incarnations, and we've seen him animated. We've seen him in various comics. I think he's a good character. That's a good character. He was raised to be an evil, vengeful guy by his mom. He'd be a good villain. I like the idea of Korvac as a villain. I think it'd be good. But again, it depends. It's interesting because the way they've dealt with certain comic book staples like, Baron Zemo or something like that, they're always a little different. It depends how they did him. I think Korvac could be, first of all, Korvac is a cool villain name. So, C. Kruger says, have you tried Bill Shatner's new Captain Kirk's bourbon? There's a guy who's trying to get me to come over here, and I've been so busy the last 2 weeks. He's going to have me talk about the bourbon, and I keep missing him and forgetting to call him back, but I do want to taste it, and I want a bottle of it. So I hope so. Yeah, let me, yes. So, but I haven't tasted it yet. Kevin Collins says, hey, Rob, what are your thoughts on RoboCop and Verhoeven's oeuvre? I love Paul Verhoeven. I've actually met him on a number of occasions. First time I met him was at the closing night film festival party for the Seattle International Film Festival in 1985, where he had showed his first English language movie, Flesh and Blood. I'm a huge fan all the way back. I mean, I love Katie Tipple. I love Turkish Delight. Even his first movie, Business is Business, Soldier of Orange. I've talked a lot about movies like I love The Fourth Man. I dearly love Basic Instinct. I think the only movie of his, I got to see again. I think The Hollow Man is the only thing of his that I haven't really loved. But there's a lot of great stuff in The Hollow Man. But man, RoboCop, Total Recall, Basic Instinct, and Starship Troopers, that is a run. I'm a huge fan of Paul Verhoeven. And he's got a new movie coming out about sexually repressed nuns or something. And I'm excited to see that. Sebastian says, I'm a 90s kid and I still was hooked down upon loving all of geek culture. While I went to high school, I had a year or two of living as an undercover geek. until I was secure enough to not give a fuck. Yeah, it's funny. I've been an unabashed geek my whole life, but nobody ever really gave me a hard time. Like, because when I was a kid, I was one of the first people to have a VCR in my neighborhood, so I was always bringing over people. Like, I'd have 15 kids in my house watching R-rated movies, so I was more of a heroic character, except not to their parents. Your son showed my daughter Friday the 13th. Yes, I did. Tried to scare her into my arms. The Blue Corner says, I found Rob through Campia since I stopped watching Collider when Campia left, and now I find myself always picking Rob over Campia when they stream at the same time. Don't tell him that. Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I think John and I are different kinds of people. We have different energies and we like different things. And but I think we complement each other. Like, I really like doing the show with Campia. I think it's fun, and I actually look forward to getting up. I'm sad we're not in the studio. The studios are moving right now because I liked going to Hollywood every morning and doing the John Campia show. It was fun. I had this routine. I'd get up, I'd take the train to Hollywood. I love that. I didn't have to deal with the horrible morning traffic. I didn't have to park anywhere. I got off the train and went to Starbucks, rolled down to the studio. It was great. So it's been a lot of fun. And I think we have a lot of fun together doing that. So doing Campia's show has been fun. And having Ashley on the show brings a different energy as well. It's great. Hello, Mr. Burnett. Was interested to hear how you had been involved in the Lord of the Rings bonus content. I love that stuff. Also watched Free Enterprise Night on Amazon Prime. Love that movie too. New subscriber. Well, thank you. Scandalous. I like how you scandalous. You use a K and then you it's Legolas. Scandalous. I like that. That's cool. First of all, thanks for being a subscriber. Tell your friends. I got involved working with. I'll tell you a funny story. I probably told this before, but I was working as what's called a predator, a producer editor at NBC, and I was working on the 2000 Olympics. The complete Olympics, and I was cutting all kinds of stuff. And my friend Michael Pellerin he'd been producing content for Disney Laserdiscs, and then they'd moved over to DVDs. And he just called me out of the blue and he said, "Hey, would you like to come edit content for Fantasia, the first release of Fantasia?" It was going to be the Fantasia anthology, so it was going to be Fantasia and Fantasia 2000, and a bonus disc. Would you like to come do that? He just called me out of the blue. I'm like, what? I'm going to go do yes. So I literally, the summer of 2000, I want to say, was it the summer of 2000? No, it was the summer of 1999, I think. No, it was 2000, summer of 2000. And I was literally, I would get up. This was my day. I would get up and I was at NBC by 9:00 in the morning. Then I would work all day, usually till 7:00. I'd go have dinner somewhere. I'd roll into Hollywood at 8, and we were working out of a place called TV is Okay on Yucca, and it's not there anymore. And then I would edit from like 8 to 3 or 4 in the morning. Then I would go home and sleep for 4 or 5 hours, and get up and go back to NBC and start the whole thing all over again. And that's how I began my regular career producing special features material for both Blu-rays and DVDs. And it was an incredible time. But he was able to get the Lord of the Rings contract. And when I was working, after I left NBC, I went to work for him full time. And that's when I did the documentary on the making of Tron. I worked on the first Snow White DVD special features, it was just work. It was fantastic. I was flying to New Zealand. I was going to London. It was terrific. John Rhys-Davies pinched my ass when we were taking a photo together. I mean, it was fantastic. I'll tell you a funny story. I've told this before, but so I was interviewing John Rhys-Davies for Fellowship of the Ring, and we were shooting this at Disney Imagineering in Glendale, and I was talking to him. I said, man, you've got this incredible storied career. Not only were you Gimli, but you're on Sliders. You were General Pushkin in the James Bond movie Living Daylights. You were Sala in Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. I mean, you've had this incredible career. And he's like, with his big bellowing voice, I'm just a character actor. I'm like, man, everybody knows your work. And I just was like, so anybody just say a line from anything Mr. John Rhys-Davies has been in. And somebody goes, "Oh, my friends, I am so pleased you're not dead," which is, from Raiders. And a bunch of people said different, all from different things. And then he looked at me and he goes, "Well, why don't you say something from my career?" And all I said was one word. I just went, "Inglés," which is what he said as his character in Shogun, the miniseries Shogun. And because he would always call Richard Chamberlain Inglés, because he's English. And he couldn't believe it, and he got all like choked up. But everyone loves John Rhys-Davies. So Scandalous, thank you for that. I appreciate it. But I'm sorry you watched Free Enterprise on Amazon Prime. It's in 4:3. It's not my preferred cut of the movie. It's old. I'm hoping to get everybody a much better cut of the movie out this year. If I'm lucky, I might be able to do that. I'll keep you guys posted. So yeah, there we go there. And I'm going to hide user on this channel. Thank you. I don't need that. Everybody who comes in and I don't need to hear 9/11 was an inside job. This is not that kind of a channel. It's always interesting when trolls drop in. I'm always like, what? Trolls interest me as much as all of you, because what's their agenda? And I'm like, why are they sitting at home stewing in their own juices about what? Have you not watched Infinity War? Because Desert Wolf, you should watch Infinity War. Anyway, so Desert Wolf he's gone, but it's just funny. What can you do about trolls who are angry? You can be angry all your life. Let's see. Yeah, Bunyan Snipe, talk about a change in tone. Yeah, don't need that. Let's see. Joseph Iraq is here. Rob, you should think about reviewing action figures around 10-minute videos, talking about pros and cons and giving an overall score. Just a suggestion. Okay, I wasn't going to do this. Okay, I got a box. Yeah, so I was going to do, people are always asking me to do unboxing videos, and I it's hard to open a box when you can't see it. And I didn't want to do that because so many people do unboxing videos, and it's like, I tried to do one and it's cumbersome, and I want to do it with multiple cameras, so I never do. I don't want to do unboxing videos, but if you have a video that you can do an unboxing video for, like, it's interesting. I wasn't expecting to have an unboxing to do. I wasn't, but hey, why not? So as I talk to you, why not open this up? Because it's here, right? Iron Spider. Man, do I love me some Iron Spider. Now, I am not going to open up Iron Spider right now, but there you go, Iron Spider. But I'm not going to open it up. Yeah, I can't do that. Mark C says, we need a PO box to send you cool stuff. Oh, I'll email me, and I'll send. I don't have a PO box, but I'll send you my address. Just don't send me a bomb. Brandon says, the Gatekeeper. Thanks for the repost, Rob. Love it. Oh, did you do that? Okay, Brandon did some artwork of me as like I kind of look like a Steppenwolf version of the Gatekeeper of Verisimilitude. Man, I love that. I screen capped that and put it on my Instagram. I love that, Brandon. Thank you so much for that. That was amazing. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah. Good stuff there. Movie Fanobi is here. Hey, Movie Fanobi, I haven't seen you in a while. Can't stay, but showing support. Thank you for that. I might have seen a crazy dude, initials RMB, on the Schmodown Throwdown yesterday. Don't know what you're talking about. Have a fabulous night, Rob and friends. Yes, for those who don't know, I've played a character on the Schmodown for a number of years. I was locked away. They actually locked me in a room for 6 months. I was stuck in one room with no Netflix, nothing. It was terrible. Davies on the Indiana short film Before the Ride. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. You can never get enough of John Rhys-Davies. Uh, Fergal Kelly says, "Hey Rob, would you see WBDC asking Zack Snyder back to direct future DC movies? I think that his style would suit Aquaman, the Aquaman Trench spinoff." Oh, Orville, yeah. You know what? I really can't wait to see. Like, I love that trench scene. I love those monsters. And what if they once were humans? You know, like what happened in with Davy Jones in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. But yeah, I think they should bring back Zack Snyder. Why not? He's awesome. Alexander Wilson says, "What next gen director do you think will be in the conversation with next gen?" I was thinking TNG. In the conversation with Scorsese and Spielberg in 20 years, I think Ryan Coogler. I think so too. I mean, you know, I think that there's a Bo Burnham who made Eighth Grade. I think there's a lot of some really interesting emerging talent. We'll see, but Coogler definitely. I think Coogler's got a great future ahead of him, and I think so. Abdul, Dark Knight or Infinity War or Logan or Star Wars Empire. Wait, do I have to pick one? Are you talking about movies or Hot Toys figures? Because all of those have lots of cool Star Wars figures. Hot Toys has done, you know, I really want to get that. Believe it or not, Hot Toys is doing Leia in her gown, in her Bespin gown. It looks great. I really want to get that figure. All the Infinity War, like I don't want all the Infinity War Hot Toys figures, but I did want Iron Spider because I've always loved Iron Spider and I loved it in the movie. So, but of all, if you're asking me to pick between those four movies, I got to take Star Wars Empire of all those, just because I saw the movie 26 times in the theater, and how can I not see it? Let's see. Stephen May says, "As a fellow collector, your Hot Toys caught my attention. Your honesty has kept it. You and my eyes are now in the Kevin Smith arena." Wow. That's amazing. I don't know if I'm in the Kevin Smith arena. I got to make more movies, but I love Kevin Smith. For a little while there, I wrote for his website, Movie Poop Shoot. I wrote a home video column called Rob's Retinal Fetish. That was fun. I love Kevin Smith. Keep up the good work. You make my evenings at work go quickly. Well, thank you. You know, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you to say. Sebastian says, "Have you seen the Kasari trailer, Rob? I get 300 vibes from it, and it looks awesome." I've not seen that. I don't know quite what that is, but I will look into that. Brian Egg says, "I didn't like the Daily Collider Heroes. Each one was so short." It was short. I like the longer form version, so we can get into it. I guess this Desert Wolf guy who came in was pissed off these people. Crixus Maximus, good save, Rob. I'm not going to have any more girlfriends. Yeah, it's true. You know, when you answer questions based on what people are asking you, you have to stop and think about, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Brian Ing says, "The final Rob Schnepp episode of Collider Heroes was so sad. He said you two would be at Comic-Con and it never happened." It was rough to lose John Schnepp. It was really rough, and I didn't get to say goodbye to everybody properly for various reasons that were not my doing. Let's just put it that way. And it was. I think about John Schnepp every day. You know, I can't not think about John Schnepp every day, and it was a bummer. But you're right. I can't believe that a Comic-Con went off without him. So. Let's see. Crixus Maximus says, "Saru of Kelpia, you have the ability to overcome great fear. Welcome to the Green Lantern Corps." You know what? You know, they did the Legion of Superheroes Star Trek crossover in the comics. That would have been awesome. You know, like if somebody showed up from Oa and just made Saru a Green Lantern. That would have been the greatest thing to happen to Star Trek since, I don't know, ever. I was very upset when Rob said only half of TNG is above average. Well, maybe a little bit more than half, you know, but that's still a lot of episodes. It's 178 episodes, so that's a lot of episodes still. Writer BL Ali says, "If we see Korvac in the MCU, it will likely be more like the version on TAEMH. I don't know what that is. I'm missing that. Mark Larseth says, "The sphere in Discovery was a Deus Ex Machina device." Yeah, it also strangely familiar to me. Look online for a Star Trek series proposal by Jeffrey Thorne and me, Chris McCory, and Brian Singer. We were working on called Star Trek Federation. Look that up, guys. See if you can find it online. I'm sure you can. Star Trek Federation. Mike Akuda did the cover for it, and read it. It's interesting. Crixus Maximus, the sphere thing was like V'ger Nomad. It just wandered around gathering data for a long time. Did it wander? Was it a wandering sphere? I thought it was like in one place. Maybe it was a wandering sphere, but it doesn't. Look, why is it wandering, and what is it doing? And how is it gathering data? It's just the whole idea was very odd. I was not a big fan of that. Bunyan Snipe says, "Hello, Bunyan Snipe. The Netflix Marvel shows have 2 years before they can get a reboot or retooled. This will be better after events of Endgame, so you could easily do a soft reboot and slot them into the MCU. I think you could. Absolutely, you can." DS9 was a Star Trek soap opera. Kind of was, says 666. I agree with that. MW77 says, why did Carpenter stop making films? John Carpenter. His 70s and 80s run is on par with Hitchcock. I think John Carpenter was, he after Halloween and The Fog and Escape from New York, The Thing really did a number on him. He really had a hard time. His movies made not much money after that. He made big studio movies, and then when he had the deal with Alive Films to make 3 movies, of which he only made 2. He only made Prince of Darkness and They Live. He went back to his indie roots to make those movies. And I think he just didn't have a great output. He didn't have a good time making movies back in the 90s, which was a bummer because I love John Carpenter movies, even bad John Carpenter movies. Like, I'm not a big Village of the Damned fan, to be honest. I like vampires more than some. By the way, if you guys want to read a great horror novel, even if you've seen John Carpenter's Vampires, read the original book. The author's name, get this, is John Stakely. John Stakely wrote Vampires, the novel. And when you find it, you'll know it's vampires because the S in the word vampires is a $. It's one of my favorite horror novels I ever read. Before it was adapted, I dearly wanted to make that into a movie. The book is so good. And John Stakely also wrote another science fiction novel. It's different. It's sort of Starship Troopers-esque, called Armor. And if you're interested in science fiction, like hardcore military, in-your-face action adventure, blood and guts, John Stakely's Armor and Vampires are both novels to read. They come with my highest recommendations. Sebastian says, glad to hear you love the latest Orville, Rob. The ending was very Brandon Braga. Loved it as well. Yes, Brandon Braga wrote along with Andre Bormanis, the great Andre Bormanis, who was the science advisor on TNG. They both wrote the episode Identity, Part 1 for the Orville. So that was great. Great to see these guys come back and write such a cool episode. Donnie Pearson says, hello, everyone. Hello, Rob. I'm watching On the Red Carpet at the Oscars on Seattle's KOMO 4, and listening to Mariner preseason baseball on KIRO, Cairo AM, 710 ESPN Seattle. All right. That's very cool. Very cool. I love that you're in Seattle and we're chatting. Let's see. You guys spelling. Stephen Klein says the latest episode of the Orville was so good. The best way to describe this episode is what John Lemire said. Boom, bitch. That's what I'm talking about. It was pretty good. I mean, it was the kind of what I want to see from the Orville. I really liked it a lot. I thought it was really, really cool. I really enjoyed it. Narcisco 3 says, hey, Rob, just want to say you demand. And what do you think of Punisher Warzone? I think it's the best incarnation of the character. I like Lexi Alexander's Punisher Warzone movie. I think it's really good. I don't know if it's the best incarnation of the character. I really do like the incarnation of the character on Netflix, but Punisher Warzone is a much better movie than people give it credit for. I recommend it. If you haven't seen Punisher Warzone, watch it. PK Olson says, hey, why do you think concept artists and designers don't get more love from the public? Sure, some people know McQuarrie, but what about Ian McCraig, who designed Darth Maul, or Ryan Meneerding of Marvel. I think it's because people just don't know. I mean, when I was growing up, they had like the Ralph McQuarrie, the sketchbooks, and you got the Ralph McQuarrie portfolio. You guys remember that portfolio? You'd open up and it came like 12 different Ralph McQuarrie paintings. I mean, who didn't put those up on their walls? And you get that McQuarrie book, but it's all about, and the books like Art of Star Wars and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think people know concept designers. But man, I do love the fact that Titan Books and they put out the Art of Marvel. Those books are coming out, so we get a lot of that stuff, and they've been pretty good about putting the Art of Captain America, the Art of Infinity War out for almost all those movies, and they're great books. So that's very, very cool. Which is great. PK Olson says, "Oh, you guys are talking amongst yourselves." And I didn't see what you said. Clayton George says, I was wondering why Desert Wolf was babbling away about the Torah. Seemed pretty pointless to me. I miss all that because I blocked him. I guess because it's Sunday. Oh, there's Zoe trying to along with Gilbert. When you have an 18-year-old girl being followed by a dog, something's up. Something's wrong. I don't know what's happening, but that's what goes on here in this household. Kenneth Crayley Jr. says, Rob, have you been buying any of the La La Land Records new soundtrack releases? I have the Superman. If you guys don't know, Lucas Kendall brought me a box of all of the La La Land releases. He brought me a care package. Man, the 3-disc Dracula, the 3-disc Die Hard. I got the Superman 2 and 3 scores. What I particularly loved was getting the scores for Airport 77 and Airport 79. Yes, I love La La Land Records. They are so great. They can do no wrong, and I try and support them whenever I can because they are great. If you guys don't know what La La Land Records is, they're one of the great record companies. They're doing soundtracks. They are awesome. Donnie Pearson says, and I'm stoked about the Academy Award show itself and all the other televised award shows, including the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, which will be air on March 23rd. That's cool. Brandon says that Iron Spider is fucking dope. It is. I can't wait to get into that. Let's see. Jack Watkinson says, man, Campy would hate that Iron Spider. Yes, he would. And if we ever do a Weekly Hero again, I'm going to bring it on because I love Iron Spider. I had one of the Mego-esque Iron Spiders from the Civil War comic, which I loved, which I think I still have somewhere. Nihilist Shadow says, Jeddah was an inside job. The Empire says it was destroyed in a mining accident. Don't you believe it? The Empire has a planet-killing super weapon. I love shit like that. That's very funny. Oh, really? You know what? You get banned for that. Yeah, that wasn't nice. Why do you have to be like not nice? That's not nice. Dark Nays says Peter F. Hamilton has one in his books, The Naked Singularity, a sphere that is omniscient. Well, that doesn't surprise me. So that's somebody read Peter Hamilton, and that's where they got that from. Geek with the Side of Nerd says, I loved vampires. Did you like the book, or did you like the movie? Nihilist Shadow asks, one problem with the latest episodes of Discovery is that the crew isn't doing anything to further the plot. At the end of each episode, something shows up to just give them what they need. I couldn't agree more. Like, they have no plan. They just kind of wander around and all this stuff happens and things. It's so weird. Like, there's really no plot. When I watch these things, I'm like, where are we now? There's no plot thread that we're following. They just start these stories and shit happens and you watch it and it's like, I don't get it. Eric Warner says, hey Rob, I love the Imperial. What's up, Gilbert? You want a cookie? Come here. Want a cookie? Well, what Eric is talking about is that my friend Greg Smith is building an Imperial probe droid he calls Priscilla, Queen of the Glacier. Now, it's a full-size Imperial probe droid. He says it's a little smaller than 1-to-1, but Greg is, of course, the star of the first real episode of ROBSERVATIONS, where I went to his house in Olympia, Washington, and filmed. He talked about cosplaying Boba Fett and a rebel pilot from The Force Awakens, and he showed us his 1-to-1 scale land speeder that he takes to conventions, and he is building for the Emerald City Comic Con next month a full size. There's Gilbert looking at me. Do you want to come up here, Gilbert? You're welcome to come up here. Come on, dude. Want to come up? Come on up. Okay, don't come up. But yeah, he's building one, and I've been putting out build videos first for my Patreon subscribers, and then I'll put them up live. So there's 3 on YouTube. You can look at the build videos so far, and they're pretty cool. Nyla Shadow says Thomas Jane is my favorite Punisher. I can understand why. Good stuff. Crixus Maximus says the Thomas Jane Punisher short film, I forgot the name was awesome. It certainly was. I like that thing. I thought it was good. Let's see. I'm getting down. I gotta stop because I've got to get going soon because it's Oscar Day, and I think I'm gonna wrap this up really quickly. Linesco 3 says Narciso, like Narcissus. El Narciso 3. I got it wrong. Do you think one of the Star Wars problems is that they're trying to put out too much content at once? We had large gaps between trilogies. Now I'm thinking it must be rushed without no real vision. I think that might be part of it. I do. But I liked Rogue One a lot. Everyone liked Force Awakens. I think the only thing, and I like Solo. I just think it was a mistake to do a young Solo movie after we just saw old Solo. Is that what you're talking about, Gilbert? Do you not like Solo either? Anyway, I'm looking forward to episode 6. I can't wait to see it. We'll see. Come here, buddy. Come say hello to the people at home. Anyway. Oh, Mark C is here again, and Mark C is saying favorite sci-fi book, Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash. Pizza. Look, is that your favorite? Are you saying that that's your favorite sci-fi book? Okay, Mark C says his favorite sci-fi book is Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash. Pizza Delivery meets Mad Max meets The Matrix. If you guys have not read Neil Stephenson's seminal cyberpunk novel Snow Crash from, I believe, 1990, it is one of my favorite books I've ever read. And the main character's name is Hero Protagonist. Hero spelled Hiro, Hero Protagonist. It is, I can't tell you how great Snow Crash is. And also, if you like Snow Crash, read The Diamond Age. But he's another Neil Stephenson novel. But Snow Crash is one of my favorite books I've ever read. One day I'm going to get a first edition hardcover of it, which I try and get first edition hardcovers of my favorite books. And I don't have that one. And I'm going to get that one. So it is amazing. If you have not read Snow Crash and you want to read a great science fiction novel, I guarantee you there's more imagination in the first page of Snow Crash when hero protagonist has to deliver a pizza from Uncle Enzo's Cosa Nostra Pizza on his rocket skateboard. I know it sounds crazy. Just read it. You're going to love it. It's one of the great science fiction novels of the modern age. So Mark C., I am down with you, hero protagonist, and everything that happens in Snow Crash because it's great. Nobody, no one says Solo was great. Shame it didn't do better. Yeah, the funny thing about Solo is it's a perfectly fine movie. I mean, it just, I think it came on the heels of what they should have done is done an Obi-Wan movie because you have Ewan McGregor and you tell an untold story from the Star Wars universe that could have extended. I mean, doing a Han Solo story that Harrison Ford isn't playing Han Solo. I mean, I like Aaron Enright. Alden Enright, but it was just weird seeing him right after Harrison Ford. It was sort of bizarre, and I don't think that was great. Catholic Jack says, "What's up, Rob? Just subscribe to your channel." Thank you, Catholic Jack. Isn't today the Sabbath? I mean, it's Sunday, right? Did you go to church, Catholic Jack? But thanks for the subscription. I appreciate it. But I'm going to jump on the phone, you guys. I'm going to wrap this one up. So I want to thank you for being here. And it was great, a great chat. I know it was a quick one. I wasn't planning on doing this one anyway. So I want to thank you for being here. I'm going to wrap this up, but I will be back tomorrow to discuss the Oscars with John Campea on the John Campea Show live at 9 a.m. And I will be back tomorrow at noon. I'm going to try and keep a regular schedule this week, and I'm going to announce topics probably in advance. I want to delve into comments and things you have to say. And thanks for everybody with their support through Super Chats and Patreon and all those things. I really appreciate it. You guys are great. Thanks for being part of this, the Post Geek Singularity community, and all of you imagination connoisseurs. And if you really do live in the greater Southern California area and you want to have a meetup, a ROBSERVATIONS Post Geek Singularity Imagination Connoisseur meetup to see Captain Marvel, I'm kind of all for that. Maybe the second week it's in theaters, or maybe midweek, or what's best for you. People, if you've got ideas, send them to me. Appreciate you being here and all of those things. So thanks for that, and thanks for being here on a Sunday. And enjoy the Oscars. And remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. All you have to do is listen. Thanks very much. And as always, what? You know what I say on my phone? As always, I always say have a better day on my answering machine. I don't know what I was going to say with that. But anyway, thanks for being here. And I'll talk to you soon.